Well, hello, my soul friends. I have a topic on my heart that I hope inspires you. And I think it's important because it's a Monday when I'm recording this. So, my topic today is follow that joy. So, I have a question for you as I'm sitting with this topic of joy and why it is so important. It's an essential quality for our soul recipe. And I call a soul recipe what we need to fulfill the potential of the promise of our potential, our soul potential. So it's an essential ingredient. It's like the sweetener that makes our experiences even more memorable and exciting, and even the not so happy memories or the hard times that we move through. Joy is our companion to move us through those difficult times too. Essential. But the focus I'm going to talk about with joy today, and I have a few stories to share with you about how I've reclaimed my joy. I always say I came in with so much joy, as most of us do. We come in with bundles of love, as bundles of love and joy. And then this world begins to take that away from us, or we learn to hide it like it's not appropriate. And so we hide those essential aspects of our soul and the ingredients that fulfill the promise, like joy. So I always say I came in with a lot of joy, and I intend to cultivate that and leave with just as much, if not more. So, how is your relationship with joy? What does joy mean to you? I have all kinds of positive associations to joy, but it's an overwhelming, um, joyous, jubilant way of being that for me, it is like my soul is tickled. That's how I express it. And as you see, as I just even found an image to connect with it, it's like my soul is tickled. I had a very authentic giggle. Authentic giggles are connected to soul, so to joy. Okay, so what is your relationship to joy like? And if you tell me not so good, I can assess from that you probably don't have a real deep connection to your inner child. So I want to explore this more, how there is a connection to joy and our inner child. Now, our inner child is important to stay connected to. We stay connected to joy. Joy leads us back to the inner child, and our inner child leads us back to our soul potential. It's all connected, you see. So, as we get older, and we have absorbed a lot of those conditioned messages of how we should be at a certain age, or how we should present ourselves and not do this and only do that. And we begin to diminish that natural light of who we are and that natural essence of joy, which we come in with. So we have to reclaim it. So I wrote this, and I think it's really, really important. When you deny your joy, you deny your potential and a big part of our soul guidance. If we stop to listen to that, we stop to allow space for joy, that is where I think we begin to unplug sort of from that life force energy, that vitality, the exuberance, and our giggle. When's the last time you had a good giggle? That's another measuring tool for me. If I haven't laughed for a while, I know something's off, because I love to laugh. But again, joy can accompany our grief. Sometimes we need to laugh. Have you ever been in a really hard time where one minute you're crying and the next minute you're laughing? I see this a lot when I used to support people through their grief process as a grief counselor. And I would sit with them, and they would tell me their stories, and there'd be such intensity of tears. And then they'd land, their heart, their soul would guide them to a funny memory, and they'd share that, and they'd laugh. And then they'd go back to the sorrow, and then they'd go back to the joy. And again, joy is a companion to help us not only enjoy our life, but to get us through the hard times too. So very important. So I want to tell you a story of how I started to reclaim my joy. I moved away from Los Angeles, where I grew up, to a small town at a really, a time when I uprooted everything. My life, my home, my friends. I left everything I knew, everything and everyone I loved, to start fresh and to step into the great mystery. I was following a soul call. And once I got to the small town, transitions can be really hard no matter how much you vision for them and how much you say, I really want to do this. I was having a hard time. I was all alone. I felt lonely. I felt lost. I felt really scared. Like, what did I just do? And I was really lacking in joy. I was starting to go really down. So one thing I would do, I would consistently take myself down to, I was fortunate enough to live pretty close to a river. So I'd take myself down to the river and pray. Yes, I'm hearing that song in my head too. Let's go down to the river and pray. And I did that often. It was my soul medicine. It was my healing. It was the one thing I could tether into. I would sit by the river and journal and be delighted by the river, but my joy wasn't there. And one day I was sitting there and some kids were playing in the water and having so much fun, as kids do. Just, hey, wow, let's do this. Absolute, joy and no restrictions on that joy. And I'm sitting there journaling and, very somber mood. And I hear one of the kids call out to their mom, Mom, come into the water with us. And immediately she said the big joy breaker. No. I'll get back to that in a moment. No, the joy breaker. And then she said, the water's too cold. Well, it's fine for the kids. And I thought to myself, this is what happens to us. This is how we age. There's a difference between aging and saging, growing, getting older in a chronological age, and yet we can also stay youthful and vibrant, right? So this is where I thought, light bulb moment, this is where we start to dim our light, and where we disconnect from our potential, and we disconnect from the inner child. And again, inner child is vital. It's the gatekeeper, the keeper of our potential. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's how it happens. That no shuts the doors that we need to still walk through to get to our joy, to keep our joy alive, to keep our energy inspired and connected to our potential. So I was like, I'm going in the river. And so I'm like, that's it. I'm going in the river. And I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, I think. And I just walked right into the river, right in the middle of the river. And I sat my butt down in the water. And yeah, it was really cold. But do you know what happened? I sat down and I felt the water just running around, flowing around me. It was such a powerful feeling. And then deep, deep bubble of joy from deep down in my body, like root chakra, was starting to come up. And then it came out and I was giggling, not the laughters of an adult woman that I am, but the giggle of a really excited, joyful child. It was so liberating. And I thought, I'm always going to say yes to jumping in the river. And I still do. I make a goal of that I would say mostly in the summer, but I have done some cold plunges with my husband. Not my favorite going in, but so exuberant coming out. So that was such a vital reminder of when we start living from no instead of yes and possibilities, when we start shutting down the things that used to call to us, like what used to bring you joy as a child, and do you still make space for that in a way that is maybe, I hate to even say this, but age appropriate? We're so concerned about that. I'd really actually delete. If I edited, I would take that out. Who cares about age appropriate? If it brought you joy when you were a kid and you're not doing it now and finding a way to do something similar, that's a place to look. So finding joy fills our well, fills our energy, the energy flow that we give from. And we need to first give to ourselves by doing things that are joyful. Now, another thing about honoring our joy is that when we take action on behalf of our joy, that reinforces important, empowered beliefs. And if you don't take action on your joy, say you want to do something and you keep saying no, 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 and I call it get your butt in the way. I do that, but your butt's in the way of your possibility. Well, then you shut down that light, you shut down that energy, and you reinforce a negative belief. So I'm going to give you another example here. When I was a kid, I had a crappy bike. I think I had I don't know, Goodwill bike or a hand-me-down bike. And I don't even remember having a bike consistently. I think like for a little while I had a bike, and now I don't even remember what age, but I just know it was kind of not the best bike. And so here I am as an adult, not too long ago, I had a really crappy bike instead of a good bike. And I love bike riding, but this bike was crappy. I mean, the chain was always falling off, and I was so in an unconscious pattern of, I don't deserve the good bike, you know? I'll just make do with this crappy bike. I'll just make do. And my husband finally pointed it out to me. He's like, you need a different bike. And I was like, you know what? I do need a different bike. Bike riding brings me joy, but there I was riding this not so great bike. What was that reinforcing? Not worthy of what I want, don't deserve, not good enough, all those negative core beliefs. So I set a mission to find a bike aligned with my joy, my heart's desire, what I really wanted. So I began this search for a bike. First of all, I didn't even know what a good bike was. I honestly didn't. I had to research what was going to work for me. I went to the local bike store, Ben's Bikes, I love them. And I found a bike I liked, the Verve bike. I don't know if any people that ride bikes out there, but they only had red or gray. Wasn't going to bring me joy. I wanted blue. And my husband was like, it doesn't matter what color it is. If it's a bike you like and it fits your desire to go riding the way you want to, well, who cares? I'm like, I care. I want a blue bike. So I decided to offer myself what I offer my clients. I was going to stand with my desire. I was going to stand with the possibility of fulfilling that, which I do for my clients all the time. And so there I was. Nope, I want a blue bike, and yes, a Verve bike. I would really love a Verve bike. So I went on Craigslist. I was looking at no blue bikes, only white. And okay, maybe white can work. And I'm starting to do that compromise. And yeah, maybe this is okay. The settling thing that we do in other places too. And then one day I got off of a Zoom session with a client, and I was working with her on what does her desire look like and how would she fulfill it. And we did some visualization. And then I got off that Zoom meeting and I closed my eyes. I'm like, take your own advice. This is what you teach. And so I visualized myself on a blue Verve bike. And I said, I am worthy of that bike. I am worthy of that joy. And so immediately I went on Craigslist, middle of the day. And guess what happened? Somebody had just posted a fairly new bike, a blue Verve bike, on Craigslist, like 2 minutes before I went on. I wrote her immediately and I said to her, that's my bike. That's my bike. And I said, I need to see that bike immediately. I will buy it. I want to test drive it or test ride it, but I'm pretty sure that's my bike. Long story short, I went over, cash in hand. The bike was perfect. Came with a helmet and everything. My color, perfect. Came home to ride that bike, and it was such a sweet moment. I got on that bike, and honestly, and for some of you, you won't understand this until I explain to you more about what inner child work is. I love doing inner child work with my clients. I got to study back in the day with John Bradshaw, one of the pioneers of inner child work, and have been doing it ever since. And I won't tell you how long ago that was, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And if you're really interested in inner child work, read The Homecoming by John Bradshaw. It is an oldie but goodie. Anyway, I'm on this bike, and suddenly I'm not the age I am, but I'm 9 years old, and I'm riding with the biggest grin and such joy of I finally got a bike I wanted. So what beliefs were being reinforced in that moment? I'm worthy of what I want. I get to have what I want, and I'm good enough, right? All these good empowered beliefs. So this is what happens when you take action on joy. Honor your joy calls because they lead to your soul calls and they fulfill your potential. So those are a couple stories that I wanted to share to maybe inspire you to connect to your own joy stories, or where you denied yourself joy, or where you just said no and you didn't even know why. No, you just shut the door before you explored. Is this aligned with my soul? Will it bring me joy? Will it connect me to my potential that connects me to my purpose, why we're here? So what brings you joy? Just sit with that for a moment. Maybe you want to get your journal out. You can even pause this video. I do have a few prompts for you. What brings you joy? What does that feel like for you? I'm really joyful right now. So you can see I'm a little bit more animated. My energy's a little bit bigger maybe. What does it feel like for you? So 2 questions. What brings you joy? And what does it look like or feel like for you? And then, have you noticed yourself saying no more than yes? Think about that. I noticed that still. I think I grew up with a lot of no's, like the first, hey, can I? No. So I had to override that pattern, and sometimes it still happens. My husband will say, you want it? No. Hold on. Let me sit with that. Let me see if it connects to my joy, to my soul, and what I need, right? So, okay. So what limiting beliefs are you reinforcing and denying your joy? Think about that. I'd love your responses in the comments if you're comfortable doing that, or you can private message me at thesoulnurturer@gmail.com. And what empowering beliefs can be fortified by you saying yes to your joy? And then I already kind of talked about this, but what did you used to love to do as a child, or desired to do that you never had a chance, connected to joy? And then how can you do that, meet that joy desire right now as the adult you are? Meeting joy is vital. Another quick thing I'll share just pops in my head right now, especially again through the hard times. When I worked at hospice, that's a hard job, and I would feel very empathetic, and not only I would feel my own burden, challenges, and my own keeping up with my caseload as the grief counselor, but to feeling into the nurses and the administrator and the heaviness in the space. So I asked my administrator, can we, on occasion, when I feel that's in particular really heavy in our office, can I call a joy break? And she said, what does that look like? And I said, well, I don't know, I'll play some music or tell a joke. I don't care. A momentary pause to bring some joy. And she was for it. So I think the first time I did it, I played the song Happy. And the artist is escaping me right now. So if you know that, put that in the comments. I always have these little momentary like, whoa. Oh, Pharrell, got it. So we gathered in a circle in the middle of the office. I put that song on, and I just said, I rang my meditation bowl, joy break, joy break, joy break. And I wandered through the offices, come on, joy break. And we all gathered and we danced to the song Happy, and we moved about the office and just kind of sloughed off the heaviness of the work we were doing and wrung out our hearts. And it was powerful. And so we did those from time to time, but I do those for myself from time to time when I'm noticed slumping a little bit. And last night or the night before, I had this dream that there was, I'm more of a cat person than a dog person, but this was a clear symbol for me, a very strong message. There was a golden retriever puppy on my porch that was emaciated. It was hungry, it was dehydrated, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta help this puppy. When I worked with that dream, to me, it meant where my joy, those dogs are, to me, represent joy, absolute joy and having fun and very present. Where is my joy emaciated right now? And this was just a couple days ago. Was it I think it was 2 nights ago. So since then, I've been fulfilling joy, just really doing the little things that bring me joy and having more joy breaks. So I invite you to sit with some of these questions. Offer yourself a joy break right now, after you like and subscribe and comment and share the video. I want you to go and search on YouTube for your favorite song and dance to that song for a few minutes. Let the joy bubble up. Let your giggle find you. Get your giggle on. I promise you, it leads to good things. Your joy leads to your potential. Your potential leads to your soul calls, and your soul calls lead to fulfillment. All right, thanks for being with me. Let me know your takeaways from this. Did it inspire you? Anything you want to share in the comments? I love your comments. It keeps me going and brings me joy. All right, so take care. If you're interested in a private session with me, you can reach out to me at thesoulnurturer@gmail.com. I do private soul work sessions, or my new term is soul gazing, where I help you see your soul potential and reclaim it. We can do that through so many tools that I have. And we can even look at your soul chart. So whatever you're interested in, you can look at my website, victoriajazwick.com, and we'll go from there. All right, take good care of you. Nurture that vital and beautiful soul potential that comes with you, is yours to bring into the world for your unique contribution to this collective experience we share. Thanks for being with me, and I will see you next week for the new moon video. Yeah. All right. Take good care. Until then. Bye-bye.